As a medic in the Iraq War, part of our job was to go on civil affairs missions, which meant helping local Iraqis medically. On my first mission, I was totally nervous. I didn't know what to expect. But then an Iraqi woman, she approached me, took my hand, and the translator said her daughter needed some medical help. So she led me away from the group. We were holding hands, speaking in different languages, smiling, and she brought me behind this tall wall and introduced me to her daughter who was on the other side. Suddenly, I heard my sergeant scream and call me over. You can't just disappear like that without security. You don't know who and what's behind these walls. You can't trust anyone at war. He was right. Today, 16 years after I left Iraq, I'm a Jain monk, and it's my life's mission to practice and spread the message of nonviolence. I realized that the violence I experienced in my life, growing up, and going to war was not the answer. In order to change the world, in order to make the world a better place, we must first change ourselves. In order to see less violence in the world, we must discover nonviolence within. You might be thinking, easy for you to say, you're a monk. True, but only after years and years of learning the hard and painful way. When I was 13, my mother died of cancer. I was only 13. My beautiful role model, the one who taught me to be good, to serve, to help others, was gone forever, vanished. My dad quickly sold our home. He kicked out my grandma and my half-brother, and it seemed as if he didn't care about me or them at all. I was miserable, in so much pain, and so unhappy. I knew I needed to get away from my dad, so I decided to enlist in the Army National Guard. Somehow I thought that would bring some discipline and adventure into my life. After my high school graduation, I started finding my way through spirituality. I discovered yoga and meditation. And even though I grew up Catholic, somehow I felt closer to God and myself in this way. Once I was off to yoga class, and my dad said, "You're joining a cult." I said, "I know that's not the truth," so I decided to follow my heart anyways. A couple years later, I met my spiritual teacher, Acharya Sri Yogesh, and I was super excited. By this time, I thought I'd finally discover the purpose in my life, to change the world by helping people overcome their pain. But when I asked for his advice, he simply stated, in order to change the world, you must first change yourself. In order to light people's hearts, your own heart must be lit. First, you need to learn about nonviolence. And I thought, seriously? Nonviolence? That's the big answer to help me change the world? I'm not a violent person. I'm not going to kill anybody. And then he continued, nonviolence means feeling oneness with all living beings. Not just humans, all living beings. Not to hurt, harm, or kill in your thoughts, actions, and speech, knowingly or unknowingly. I had to reflect on that one. I used to cut myself and I wanted to kill myself. That's violence. I had chicken for lunch earlier. That's violence. While on my way to meet this spiritual master and I was stuck in traffic, I was cursing at everyone. That's violence. Killed a mosquito. That's violence. Wait a minute. I'm totally violent. I'm violent every day, all the time. The more I saw violence within myself, the more I saw violence in the world. And then 4 months later, after meeting my spiritual teacher, I got deployed. I got deployed. Had I known about nonviolence in high school, I would have never enlisted in the military, but I had to go. And I entered a very dark period. I was smoking, I was drinking, even though it wasn't allowed. I knew it was violence, I knew it wasn't spiritual, but I didn't care. I called my spiritual teacher for inspiration. You know that military training is monk training, right? The little dying flame inside of me was reignited. As a soldier, you go wherever you need to go, you sleep wherever you need to sleep, you eat whatever is available, your life is full of discipline, you're awake, alert, and aware. These are the qualities of a monk. Maybe you'll become a monk one day. And that was it. I knew I would pursue monkhood after deployment. And that's exactly what happened. I came back from war, I reconnected with my spiritual teacher, and I enrolled in college. The first class I signed up for was social movement communication. I wanted to understand the language of activism on how it unites and sparks change. We learned about Martin Luther King Jr. and Gandhi as examples of nonviolent leaders. And it turns out Gandhi's mom was a Jain, and he was introduced to nonviolence by Jain female monks. But what we were being taught in class seemed incomplete. The way they presented nonviolence was more so focused on physical non-reaction and physical non-resistance. But the violence was still alive in thoughts and speech. For example, I became a vegetarian as a way to practice nonviolence towards animals. My dad would say, "How are you going to become vegetarian? You hate vegetables." And I said, "I'll find my way." And then I discovered Indian food. But online, I'll come across a social media post where, like one recently, a vegan activist expressed how he wanted to kill animal farmers for the mistreatment done to animals. Do you see the contradiction? In extreme nonviolence, there is violence. There's too much hate, too much anger, too much negativity. And it shows that there's a lack of understanding of what real nonviolence is. How do you expect to bring peace to the world if there's no peace within you? And that's why it's so important to become nonviolent in your life. And when you do, you'll totally change. You'll become a better human, more compassionate, understanding, thoughtful, humble, sensitive, loving, and forgiving. People will begin to wonder, why are you so different? Why are you so happy? Why are you so free? Nonviolence is as good for you as it is for them and the world. And it's a skill anyone can learn. And in my experience, it comes down to 3 simple things. First is self-analysis. At the end of each day, review your thoughts, actions, and speech. How have you been violent towards yourself and others? Only you know the truth about you. Ask yourself, have I hurt, harmed, or killed any living being through my thoughts, actions, and speech, knowingly or unknowingly today? Awareness is the first step to change, and that's why self-analysis is so critical. In my early days of practicing self-analysis, or pratikraman, when I first became a monk, most of what I had written down was based on anger. Anger is a poison. It kills you first before others. I would slam the door, react, and talk back if my spiritual teacher corrected me. I was disrespectful, not monk-like and holy. But I couldn't help it. It was as if everything that I had suppressed for so many years was bubbling up to the surface. I was ashamed and embarrassed, but it showed me what I needed to work on within myself, which is the point. I also realized that anybody that I'd encounter also has anger, ego, negativity, and violence inside. They might hide it well, but it's in there, just like it's inside of me and just like it's inside of you. But because of this practice, I'm not the same person I used to be. If I get angry, I won't hold on to it as much, and I won't get consumed by it. I'm much more balanced and peaceful, happier, and on really good days, blissed out. Second, act as if everyone and every living being is your friend. Typically, we're friendly with the people and things we like and care about. But can you expand your love more? Beyond your immediate circle? What about expanding your love to people you don't know or dislike? What about expanding your love to all living beings? Try it. See how it goes. When you become friendly to the world will become friendly to you. And finally, act as if everyone has something to teach you, even if you radically disagree. There's a teaching called Anakantavad, which states that everyone's point of view holds some truth. Try really listening to the other person when you get in an argument. Every opinion matters. Don't react. Hear them out. Don't need to be right. Because when you do, you'll actually learn something. I remember one time I was speaking on vegetarianism at our spiritual retreat center, and one guest, she disagreed with me. She said, I'm not going to become vegetarian. I eat meat that's humanely slaughtered. I pray over it, and it's blessed. While I disagree, I realize that I can't change anyone. That if she decides to become vegetarian, that change must come from within her. So the big lesson for me was that change comes from within, and no one can change someone else. Since practicing nonviolence, my life has changed in many, many ways. Being more balanced has allowed me to do more in my spiritual and humanitarian work. I've directed and produced 2 documentaries on sex trafficking. I've interviewed many survivors internationally and worked with many advocates. If it weren't for nonviolence, I wouldn't be able to do it. If I want to rip somebody's head off for profiting off of rape, then I'm violent, just as these traffickers are. How can I really help if I'm angry? To me, nonviolence is the highest form of unconditional love and transformation. As you become nonviolent in your own life, you'll inspire others to do the same. Nonviolence spreads like a ripple. It only takes one person to change this world. Maybe that person is you. Jai Siddhama, thank you.